I am going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I will note that all board members are present, including our new board member, Karen Cordano. Welcome, Karen, from the Syracuse City School District Board of Education. And with that, I will move to the first item on the agenda, which is our acceptance from the December 15th, 2022 minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes are accepted. Thank you. And we'll go to Joe Barry for a report from the secretary.
Yes, good morning, Mayor and board members. The only communication I have to report is your reappointment of your three board members for another term. And welcome, Karen, from the school district.
Great. And thank you all for continuing to serve. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. That completes my report.
Very good. And we're going to go right into our program manager report and welcome Chris to the mic. Morning, Chris.
Morning. How's everybody?
Great.
Good. So yeah, just want to report out this morning, making some progress here. In front of you this morning, we have 3 final payments for approval. That's Corcoran for the general contractor and the architect, and then Nottingham for the GC phase 1. There was 2 phases there, so that's a final payment for GC phase 1 on that one. So just as a summary then, in terms of tranche 1, in terms of final payments, we have 2 left, Huntington and Fowler. We anticipate that we'll have both due in February for those payments. In terms of cost reports as it relates to tranche 1, 5 of the 7 reports have been submitted to SED. The remaining 2, we've got those developed. We're just kind of waiting on, or they will be issued subsequent to the final payments that were noted above there. So tranche 1 is really in good shape with respect to that and final payments. Under tranche 2, we're chipping away at that. I've got 7 payments that are remaining. They're identified there between Nottingham, Clary Elms, and Henniger. With the exception of, I will make a note that the 7 does not include CNS Turner or Landon and Ryan in terms of the final payment. So if you put those in there, that's, because those won't be issued until we're done. So that would be a total of 10. So, but just to give you some context of where we are in terms of final cost reports for tranche 2 buildings, we have 5 of the 6 have already been developed. Obviously waiting until we make final payments, and then the Henniger one will be developed once we finalize cost on Henniger. So any questions on that? I'm trying to just give that to you in a little bit of context in terms of where the finish line is. So we're gaining.
Good.
In terms of construction updates under Fowler, concession storage building, chipping away at that, made some progress on that. We anticipate that we will, we got the cost reconciliation is complete. That was a piece that was hanging out there, and anticipate payments for those, both the GC and the electrical in February. Corcoran, as I mentioned, we're 100% complete on that. Final payments for the GC and the architect are submitted this month for approval. Henniger, again, chipping away on that. We had the Department of Health inspection up there for the upper level cafeteria serving line that occurred yesterday. I don't think there was any issues that were noted, at least, Tom, I don't know if you've heard anything. I think we're in good shape with that. So we're able to occupy and start to use that. So that's a good thing.
Great.
Yeah. In 265 A and B, which are the 2 classrooms on the 2nd floor that we were working on getting the windows in, the windows are in place now. Now they got to finish the interior where we had cut the hole, and they have to patch the wall back and do the interior finishes. Would anticipate that with a little bit of fortune here, within the next 2 weeks we'll have those completed and ready to turn back over to you for use.
The 4 inner classrooms that used to be the upper library,
those are complete.
Wonderful.
This was the 2 on the end that we had to cut the windows in.
Yep.
So within 2 weeks here, we should have those spaces punched out, turned back over.
Thank you.
Yep. The punch list over there, we're chipping away at that. We're doing pretty well. I think we're somewhere in that 93% range in terms of that completion. We're going to have a bit of a push over the winter break here to get through some more punch list, just areas that they can't get in normally, and push to get that resolved.
So when you get through the punch list, how was the time span we're looking at? A couple of weeks?
For final payment, you mean, or
to close it out, you're at 93, so how long are we looking at the other 7%?
I think, you know, our push is to resolve any of the remaining financial items by the end of February. And then punch list, I would say we probably have another month or two to get that completed, because they have to finish it. There'll be a push over the February break. Then the architect and the construction manager will come back in and inspect what was performed to determine if it was acceptable or not. And then inevitably, you'll probably have a few items that they'll have to come back again on. So I could see that, you know, taking us through February, probably into the March range, by the time we get all the punch list items dialed down.
Chris,
Yes.
I think you noted during the December meeting that there were a couple of rooms, I believe, of Henniger that still has some heating issues. Is that part of the punch list, and has that been resolved?
I don't want to speak for Tom, but I think largely our heating issues have been resolved.
Yeah, we haven't had any complaints. We have some other things we're working on, but not on heating.
And that piece we spoke of, it got brought up, I think, at the previous meeting, that gap that existed at the main entrance lobby between the exterior window and that closure piece has been installed in that space. So that when they
The
open.
tile? Or is that something different?
Tile is almost there. I'd like to tell you it's all there. It's not all there yet. But there was a gap that existed.
Come all the way through,
Okay,
left like a partial wall open.
right.
Yeah, between the window wall and the exterior and the wall of the office, there was a gap there of about 6 inches, thereabouts. So there was a metal closure piece that was installed there, so that when they open the door, you don't get the draft that comes into the office, which, you know, was the issue. So that is there. And then I mentioned the main office tile is probably 80% in terms of that tile that goes in the lobby there. That's just been a bit of an arduous process of getting that done.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting there. So at Nottingham, the GC is 100% complete. Controls contractors got a couple punch list items that they're cleaning up on that, and then getting us some diversification documentation. Clary, we're in good shape there. Cost reconciliation, I think we will be there after this week in terms of having that done, and anticipate a final payment submission for both Clary and Elms there next month. And one corrective item left, it's the tab report. That was the balance, testing, adjusting, and balancing of the HVAC system that we needed a few things taken care of on that, and then we'll be there with that. So that's kind of a summary on the construction updates, and I think we cover most of the critical issues there. The piece we're just continuing to chip away at is getting the change orders, the final change orders, fully executed and signed by all parties, and then sent to state ed. That's a bit of a, again, we're plugging our way through that. So it's not a matter of the contractors or trying to come to an agreement. Those are agreed to. It just then has to get to SED so they acknowledge it and log it in so that we can capture it on our final cost report. So that concludes my report. Any questions?
Questions for Chris? Chris, do you have any insight into what takes place in the Manhattan windowless skyscraper?
A lot of stuff out there that they said. So we're not exactly sure. I thought it was an interesting factoid.
It is. Familiar with that.
I'd never heard of it before, and I said that's kind of neat. So yeah, if you go online and Google it, there's all kinds of stuff out there, but nothing that I felt was valid enough to put it into a report. So I left a little mystery there. So
Thanks for sharing.
you're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Okay, let's keep on moving. We're going to move next to our financial statement report, and welcome Donna up to the mic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we have our short report this month, the JSCB financial summary for November. And a couple of the highlights, we did receive interest earnings. Included in this financial summary are vendor payments approved by JSCB at the November meeting. And we ended the month with $8.7 million in cash and $98.6 million in fund balance. So under the financial activity in the cash flow section, I'm sorry, has everybody got that report?
Everybody,
I'm sorry, and I'm talking along.
And it's in color.
Okay, good.
Just so you
it
know.
is in color. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so under the cash flow inflow section, for the month's activity, the current month's activity does include interest earnings of $5,401.
Got it.
And the year-to-date column reflects activity for July through November and includes the subsidy payment, interest earnings, and the claim settlement that I reported in prior months. The projected column shows for fiscal year 2023, that would be the 34.1 million in state aid. We're projecting 722,000 in subsidy payments, 102,000 in interest earnings, and the 270,000 for the Ed Smith claim. So the total project inflows or projected inflows for 2023 total 34.9 million. The cash outflows, the current month's activity includes $1.3 million in vendor payments, both construction and incidentals. And we had a debt service interest payment in November of $6.5 million. The year-to-date column reflects activity for July through November and totals $4.6 million in vendor payments, $6.5 million for debt service, and the subsidy payment transferred that I reported in prior months. And the projected column for fiscal year 23 shows projected cash outflows for construction and incidental payments of about $11.2 million. The projected debt service payments are $34.6 million, and the subsidy of $722,000 for a total of $46.6 million for 2023. And just on the bottom, the cash inflow and cash outflow graph, we just put that there to give you a visual of the actual inflows in blue of 700,000, the projected outflows of 34.2 in the orange, and then the outflows of 11.5 million in the blue and 35.05 million in the orange. And that's all I have. Concludes my report. Does anybody have questions?
Questions for Donna?
Okay,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you. All right, looks like we have one resolution, so I'll turn it back over to Joe to introduce it.
Yes, thank you. And I would note, I forgot earlier, the annual report was at the beginning of your packet. It's kind of a summary of all the years of activities that Turner puts together.
Very good.
And as you mentioned, we have resolution number 1 of 2023, which would authorize our monthly contractor payments for last December.
So moved. Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right.
And that completes our formal agenda.
Okay. Anyone have anything, any informal agenda items? Or any additional business to come before the board? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.